This is a lesson for R-4, which is solving systems algebraically. There are 4 different types of questions that you're going to have today. The first type of question that you're going to have today has y equals and y equals. The equations are already rearranged to have y equals and y equals. So all that you're going to do is set the equations equal to each other. All right, you're going to set the equations equal to each other and then solve for x. So notice that we have a y equals and a y equals. So we have negative 3x minus 8 equals negative 2x minus 6. All that we do is that we take this part and take this part and set the two things equal to each other. Now it looks just like some of the equations that we've done the past 2 days. You have a letter on one side, you have a letter on the other side. All that we want to do is solve that equation now. So I like working with the smaller of the 2 letters first. So I'm going to do plus 3x and plus 3x. Those cancel out. Bring down your negative 8, bring down your equal sign. Negative 2x plus 3x is 1x. Bring down your minus 6. Now you just have a 2-step equation. So plus 6 plus 6. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. Divide by 1, and we get x equals negative 2. So again, all that we did here was we set our 2 equations equal to each other, and then we just solved that equation. So we got x equals 2. The next step in every single question is to sub it back into one of the 2 equations so that you can find your y. You have your choice which equation you want to use. I like using the equation that has the least amount of negatives and the smallest numbers. So I'm going to take this x equals negative 2 and sub it in for x. So instead of negative 2 times x, I have negative 2 times negative 2 minus 6. You can type this part right into the calculator. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So I get y equals negative 2. Now, this is just a coincidence. Your x value and your y value are not always going to be the same thing. That's just a coincidence in this question. So when you have a question like this, you want to set the 2 equations equal to each other, solve the equation that you have set up. You get your x value, sub it back in, and find your y value. Go ahead, and I'm going to give you about a minute and a half. Go ahead and try this one on your own, please. The first thing that you want to do is set those 2 equations equal to each other. Go ahead and try this one, please. So remember that anytime that you have a letter all by itself, remember there's really a 1 in front of it. So I'm going to put a 1 in front of that x. I'm going to get rid of that negative 3x by doing plus 3x and plus 3x. Those cancel out. 1x plus 3x is 4x. Bring down your minus 5, bring down your equal sign. Be very careful right here. You're bringing down a negative 1. Plus 5 plus 5. So we have 4x equals 4. Divide by 4, divide by 4. And you get x equals 1. Now that you get one of your answers, you could choose either equation. I would choose that top equation. It looks easier to me. And you want to sub in your 1 for your x. So instead of x minus 5, you would have 1 minus 5, and you get y equals negative 4. So on your homework today, you will have 2 of these type of questions. In the next type of question, you're going to have to use the elimination method. You're going to have opposite letters. Notice that we have a negative 2y and a positive 2y, all right? That negative 2y and that positive 2y are opposites. When you have opposites, you want to add the equations going down, all right? You want to add the equations going down. So we're going to draw a line right here. We're going to put a little plus sign because we're going to add the equations going down. And that negative 2 and that positive 2 will cancel out. There's really a 1 in front of this x, so 1x plus 5x is 6x. Bring down your equal sign, negative 19 plus 1 is negative 18. This is just a one-step equation from here. So divide by 6's, and you get x equals negative 3. You can choose either equation to sub it into. I happen to like the bottom equation in this one only because it has all positives in it.
That's
I'm
the
going to
one I would
take
have
my
picked.
negative 3 and sub it in. So instead of 5 times x, I have 5 times negative 3. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Now it's just a two-step equation. So plus 15 plus 15. So 2y equals 16. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and you get y equals 8. So again, what we did in this type of question was we had opposites here to begin with. We had a negative 2 and a positive 2y. All you want to do is add going down so that these cancel out. So add your x's, add your plain numbers, solve that one-step equation to get your answer, and then sub it in. Again, I'm going to give you about a minute and a half. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Again, notice that you have opposites here already. You have a negative 24 and a positive 24y. So when you add these together going down, those will cancel out. Go ahead and try this one, please.
What lesson is this?
R-4. So in this one, we want to add going down. 14 plus negative 15 is negative 1x. Negative 44 plus 42 is negative 2. This is just a one-step equation. Divide by -1, divide by -1, and you get x equals 2. You can choose either equation to sub it back into. This one's sort of a pain in the butt to sub it back into, but that's okay. When you go to sub it back in, you want to sub it in the correct spot. So we solve for x, so we need to sub it into the x spot. So -15 times 2 plus 24y equals 42. -15 times 2 is -30. Get rid of the -30. This is just a two-step equation here. So plus 30 and plus 30. So 24y equals 72. Divide by 24, divide by 24, and you get y equals 3. So again, when you have your opposites there already, all that you want to do is add going down. The next type of question that you're going to have, you have to create your own opposites by multiplying. Remember, these are the questions that you have to distribute, distribute, distribute. So we want to multiply to create our own opposites. What you're looking for are letters that go in evenly to each other. Does 2 go in evenly to 3? No, it doesn't. Does 4 go in evenly to 4? Yes, it does. So I want to make opposites with my y's. Well, the opposite of 4 is -4. To get a -4 right here, I would have to multiply by -1 because -1 times 4 is -4. That way I'll have my opposites. So I want to multiply this whole entire top equation by -1. Distribute, distribute, distribute. -1 times 3x is -3x. -1 times 4y is -4y. -1 times 18 is -18. I didn't touch that bottom equation at all. So all that I'm going to do with that bottom equation is just rewrite it. Now notice that I have my opposites. Now I have my -4y and my +4y. Now that I have my opposites, all I need to do is add going down. When I add going down, that -4 and +4y will just cancel out. -3x plus -2x is -5x. Bring down your equal sign. -18 plus 8 is -10. Divide by -5. Divide by -5. Those cancel out, so we get x equals 2. The second half of every single problem is to take it and sub it back in. So I'm going to sub it into the top equation because that one looks easier to me. So instead of 3 times x, I have 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Solve this two-step equation. So -6 minus 6. So 4y equals 12. Divide by 4s, and you get y equals 3.
I have a question.
So again, what I had to do, hold on, Joey. What I had to do was I had to multiply to create my own opposites. Joey, what's your question?
How'd you get where it says -3x minus 4y equals -18? How'd you get a -18?
When you multiply this top equation by -1, you have to make sure that you do -1 times the 18. -1 times 18 is the -18.
Why are you doing the -1 though?
Because I had to create opposites. Notice that I had a 4 and a 4. I wanted to create a -4 and a 4. I had the same number here. I wanted to create opposite number.
Okay.
Go ahead and try this one on your own, please. Now, when you take a look at this one, remember that there's really a 1 in front of the y. There's really a 1 in front of the x, so that's really -1x. You could make opposites with your x's in this one, or you can make opposites with your y's in this one. Totally up to you, whichever way you want to do it. Go ahead. I'll give you about a minute and a half again. Go ahead and try this one, please. You could, if you wanted to, create opposites with your y's. If you wanted to create opposites with your y's, the opposite of 3 is -3. To get a -3, you would have to multiply this top equation by -3, because -3 times 1 would give you a -3y. I'm going to solve the problem a little bit differently. I'm going to use the x's to make opposites. I just think it's a little tiny bit easier. So to get a -2x here, I'd have to multiply the bottom equation by 2. So I didn't touch the top equation at all. So I'm just going to rewrite it. 2 times -1x is -2x. 2 times 3y is 6y. 2 times -12 is -24. Now notice what I have. Now notice that I have my opposites. I have a -2x and a +2x. So all that I'm going to do is add going down. Those will cancel out. 1y plus 6y is 7y. 3 plus -24 is -21. Divide by 7, divide by 7. Y equals -3. Take and sub that back in to one of the equations. I'm going to choose the top equation to sub it into. Make sure that you sub it in for the right letter. So I have 1 times -3 instead of 1 times y. That is -3. So 2x minus 3 equals 3. Plus 3 plus 3. So I get 2x equals 6. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and you get x equals 3. So again, I multiplied to create my own opposites. If you tried this problem and you made opposites with your y's, you have completely different work than what I have, but you should get the same answer in the end. One last type of problem that we're going to have today, it's going to be a word problem. We're only going to set this one up. We're not going to solve it. All right, we're just going to set it up just to save a little bit of time. So it says customers can buy small boxes and large boxes of oranges. So I'm going to let S equal small, and I'm going to let L equal large. It says one customer bought 3 small and 14 large boxes for $203. So 3 small is going to be 3S plus 14 large, 14L equals 203. For my second equation, it says another customer bought 6 small and 2 large for 68. 6 small is going to be 6S. 2 large is going to be 2L for $68. Those would be my 2 equations. And then you'd have to solve it from there. I'd have to multiply to create my own opposites. So I can multiply the top equation by -2. So I could have 6S and -6S. Or I can multiply the bottom equation by -7 so that I have 14 and -14. Those are the types of questions that you are going to have today.